Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to my home. My name is Becky, and I'm so excited that you're here today. Well, it's another week where I am still slowly chipping away at wedding preparations, and I don't have a whole lot going on really as far as in the house. I don't have any remodeling, no decorating, no DIYs. I haven't really been thrifting a whole lot, so I don't really have a lot to share with you as far as what my usual content is. So I was thinking, by the way, I'm sorry I did not get a video out last week. Just couldn't do it. Just could not do it, but I do apologize for that. But I was thinking about what I could do for this week, and I have really been wanting to do a new video on my depression glass collection. I told you a few weeks ago that I wanted to do that, and if you wanted to see it, just let me know. A couple of you said, yeah, I would really like to see that. I have done a depression glass video a couple of years ago, and I shared a little bit about the history of the depression glass collection that I have, and I shared a tablescape with you, and I thought I would kind of do that again, maybe change the tablescape up a little bit, do something a little bit more fun. But before I go into that, I do want to share a little bit of the history of depression glass. Now, I know a lot of you already know this, it's nothing new, but some of you may not, and some of you may be interested to hear all of this. And I am in no way an expert. I don't pretend to be an expert. Every single word that will be coming out of my mouth will be from books or internet searches, because I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm just relaying a message to you. So when David and I first started becoming empty nesters, we started antiquing. And when I would go into these antique stores and I would see all these beautiful things, you know what it's like to go into an antique store. It's expensive. I really wanted a piece of that history in my home. I wanted something from that antique store that I could start collecting, and that I could have that piece of history and appreciate it. But I also wanted something that appealed to me, that I just was drawn to and that I loved. And I discovered depression glass. Not only could I find it, pretty easily find it, but I could also afford it, which was really big, you know. So what I did is I started picking up a piece here, a piece there. I would do online searches. Luckily, I found a lady on, I think she was on eBay, and she had a few pieces that I was looking for, and I sent her a message and I said, do you have any more? Because this is what I'm looking for. And we started messaging each other personally, and she had a whole collection from her mother that she was willing to sell to me in as a broken collection. Like, I didn't need more plates. I didn't need more coffee cups or teacups. She was willing to break her mother's collection up and sell to me individually on the pieces that I needed. So that was amazing, and I bought a lot of pieces from her, pieces that were typically hard to find, like the tumblers. I've never walked into an antique store and found these tumblers. I didn't even know they existed until she told me she had them, and when I started doing all of my research. So let me stop talking. I'm going to start telling you a little bit about the history. I am going to have to read a lot of this because my brain is feeble and I can't remember all of these facts. So just forgive me, but I'm going to have to read a little bit of the history lesson for you. Following the stock market crash of 1929, unemployment shot up from 3% to about 25%, leaving nearly 15 million U.S. citizens jobless at its highest point in 1933. The average family income dropped 40%, and the economy didn't recover for an entire decade, leaving little to no cash for anything outside of the necessities, especially home decor. Glassmakers couldn't sustain through the Great Depression by providing the popular labor-intensive cut crystal glass of the 1920s that they were marketing to the upper class. In an attempt to keep people employed, glass factories pivoted to a mass-producing, significantly cheaper molded pattern glassware that, thanks to an innovative machine, they could produce upwards of 1,000 pieces a day. Most often, Depression glass was transparent with colored tint that gave the piece a bright quality, but there are exceptions. The most common colors were amber, canary yellow, pink, and green. There are two categories of this type of glassware: Depression and Elegant. Elegant glass was manufactured by a select group of hand houses where the employees would help refine the glass's imperfections when it first came out of the mold. Depression glass, however, was meant for mass production and so had significantly more imperfections, including obvious seams and bubbles. Interestingly, Depression glass was actually low to average quality and was often given to consumers for free as premiums to entice customers to continue shopping during the Great Depression. With little to no money, there was a sense of drabness. The beautiful colors of the Depression glass brought a little bit of color and excitement into their lives. Despite the overwhelming economic hardship Americans were facing, customers could get cups and saucers with a gasoline fill-up, movie theaters, and as a special gift with purchase a certain brand of foods or kitchen appliances. The advertising gimmick worked tremendously. Customers would return to the store each week and discover new pieces to add to their collections. All right, so with that being said, that's your history lesson, and that was all from www.Google search Depression glass. I can link the sources that I got my information from. It's just the common story over and over. Each different source tells you the same thing, just in prettier words that I can't relay quite as eloquently as they do, so that's why I went that route. But I do want to show you a couple of pieces of elegant glassware. I told you there's a difference. There's Depression and then there's Elegant. Elegant, they spend a little bit more time on to try to make prettier. These pieces would be given more as a wedding gift or for a special occasion. So I don't have a lot of elegant ware. I have a few pieces, and this is just a couple pieces that I picked up. This first piece here that I'm going to show you is called Jubilee. It's the same color as my Depression glass. You can kind of see it in the background, but I'll show you. In this book, you can easily find the information about Jubilee. It's manufactured by Lancaster Glass Company in 1930. And you can kind of see, I'll come up a little closer for you. Nope, that doesn't work. If you can see, it's just kind of etched where the Depression glass is pressed. This is etched. Also, there's no bubbles. It's perfectly clear, and they just took a little bit more time to make this glass without imperfections, I guess. They spent a little more time with it. Now, I only have 3 small little saucers in this Jubilee pattern. So how I like to display them in my home is I have this little letter holder, letter sorter, I guess it would be called. It's made out of brass. I have it sitting up on one of my shelves, and then I just take these small saucers and I just sit them in the letter holder, and it sits perfectly fine. And that's just an idea, tidbit, on how you can display some of these pieces if you don't have a full big collection. So there's a closer view of that. I want to be careful. I don't want to knock anything over and break it, but just an idea. This second piece that I want to show you is one of my more prized possessions, and it is a Fostoria glass piece, and it is absolutely glorious. The reason that I love this piece so much is because it has local history attached to it. I got this from an estate sale in the town that I live in. I know the history of the lady who owned it. She was an avid collector of antiques and glass. Her family is one of the founding families of our community. It's just a little bit of local history that I own now, and I'm excited to have this. Her children had an estate sale with some of her pieces, and I was so excited to grab a piece of that history. So love this. You can see the etched artwork in here. So this is kind of the difference in the elegant glass and I'm going to show you an up-close version of depression glass, the difference in the quality. All right, so my pattern that I collect is called patrician. It's also called spoke. The reason that they call it spoke, kind of its nickname, is because of this little thing in the middle. It kind of looks like the spoke of a wheel. So that's your distinctive feature if you're looking for this pattern. There's lots of patterns to choose from, but I will tell you this, do your research, because there were a lot of reproductions later down the years. This particular pattern was never reproduced. They only made it for 4 years, from 1933 to 1937. However, they made so many that they oversaturated the market and they made a ton of them. So it's what is referred to as everyday dinnerware. You are more than likely, if you find a piece, especially this dinnerware size, if you find a piece out in the world, it's going to be scratched up because it was used so much. All of my pieces have scratches. Each one of those scratches has a piece of history, tells a story. It tells a story of a family sitting down to dinner. Maybe a dinner that they didn't have the money to even afford. Maybe that mother was probably scraping and scrimping every dime she had. Maybe all it was beans. You know, it tells a story. So appreciate those scratches. I mean, I understand you want your pieces to be perfect and as in good a condition as you can, but at the same time, it's a piece of history and it's telling you a beautiful story at the same time. So what was I saying? Oh, I'm going to tell you how you can tell if a piece is authentic. Now, like I said, this was not reproduced, so I know this is authentic from the 30s. A lot of them were. But what you can look for are 3 things. Look for seam lines, look for bubbles, and look for little lines in the bottom of your pieces. Because what they would do is when they took a piece out, they would lay it on a bale of hay to dry. A little bit of the hay would kind of make an indentation into the bottom of the piece. So you'll probably see those 3 things, and that's kind of how you're going to tell that it's actually authentically from the Great Depression era. I'm going to show you a close-up of a bubble right here. Can you see it? That's a bubble. We know that that's just because when they took that glass out, it just went straight down the line. They did not take the time to bust those little bubbles and make it perfect like they did with the elegant glass. There's another little bubble there. Actually, let me see. I think this one had a little bit more of the bubbles to look at. Here's a few right here. You see them right there? So there's some bubbles there. Seam line. Let me show you my glasses. These are called tumblers. And here is an obvious seam line going down the glass. Same with this coffee mug. Here's your seam line right there. They did not have that with the more expensive glass. This was just quick money to be made, and it kept the workers working and it kept them employed. So I think that's all that I had to share with you as far as the history of the Depression glass collection that I have. I do want to mention a couple of things. They made this patrician spoke, they made it in 4 colors. They made it in amber, crystal, green, and pink. So according to my resources, it is impossible to find a full collection of the crystal patrician spoke set. I don't know if maybe they didn't make as many. I was looking in my little book. It is not the most valuable. The most valuable is the pink as far as market value, I guess. Amber is the least expensive. Crystal's the next a little more expensive than green, then pink. But you can possibly put together a pink collection. It is possible, but it would be kind of hard. This is, if you want a full collection, this is going to be your best bet to start with, or either pick a different pattern maybe. This particular pattern is a little more sparse, I guess, in the other colors. Not in this color, but in the other colors. So I have a set of 6 to set my table with in everything with the exception of one thing, which brings me to my next informational bit I need to tell you. 2 things that you should not do with depression glass. The first is the obvious: you don't put it in the dishwasher. That's with anything vintage and antique. Don't put it in the dishwasher. The second thing is this glass is not tempered, so sudden temperature changes will cause it to break. I can attest to that because I lost one of my sherbet dishes for that same reason. When I take down all of my depression glass and all of my regular glass for the holidays to decorate, I would very preciously wrap it up and I take it out to my shed, which is outdoors. There's no heat or cooling out there. And then after the holidays are over, I would bring them inside, unwrap them, and put them back on the shelf. Well, a couple of years ago, I was doing that, and I brought my boxes back in. There was a huge temperature change from outside to inside, and one of my little sherbet glasses got broken, so I only have 5 of these. I'm on the lookout to get the 6th one, but just haven't been to as many antique stores as I would like in the last year, so we need to fix that. But other than that, I have a set of 6. I have enough to set a beautiful tablescape, and that's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna start out with just a quick overview of my collection. No, it is not complete. There are still treasures to be found out there, but I am so proud of this collection that I have put together. I had so much fun finding the pieces, searching for the pieces, and the excitement that you get when you walk into a store and you see a piece that you're looking for. It's amazing. So if you're a collector, you know that feeling. I don't have to explain it to you, but real quick, let me just run through what I have. I have a serving bowl here, serving tray. I actually have 2 of these. These are pretty easy to find, but both of the pieces that I have are chipped up, so they must have been used pretty often back in the day. It must have been like a workhorse for everybody. I have a biscuit jar or cookie jar, whatever you want to call it. I am told that this is kind of a big deal to have a full set here, so I'm really proud of this. But I actually use this. You can see there's sugar inside of there. This is a piece that I use every day in my kitchen. These are the sherbet dishes that I was telling you about, just 2 of the same. I have these beautiful salt and pepper shakers. My goodness, this is one of my favorite pieces here. We have cream and sugar. Now, let me explain. You can find cream and sugar all day. It's these little buggers right here that sometimes are hard to find. I hope that this is the original lid, or not the original lid, but the correct lid. I feel like it is. It fits pretty well. It doesn't shake about, so I think that is the correct lid for that sugar jar. Now, the underplate is probably not authentic. It matched. It looked nice. I picked it up separately, so I'm just going with it for now. Now, over here to this butter dish. This was a really hard piece to find. I'm 99.9% sure that this is not the right lid, but it serves the purpose until one day I will walk into someplace and find the correct one. But you can kind of see it's kind of wobbly and it doesn't fit perfect the way it should. So that's something that I am still working on in my collection. We have these little soup bowls. They have handles on both sides. There's just 2 of the same thing. And then we have our cup and saucer for coffee. And you can kind of tell the difference in the saucer for the cup and this little dessert bowl here I'm going to show you. They're essentially the same size. I believe this is considered to be the dessert dish in the collection. It's very similar in size to the saucer for the coffee, but you'll notice the dessert dish has the spoke design in the middle, and the coffee saucer does not. It just has that little round spot to set the coffee mug in. So just recognize that if you're looking and you find a piece. So the dishes have 4 sizes. They actually have 5. One of them is a, it's called a grill plate. I never collected the grill plates because they just did not appeal to me. But here's what we have. We have a dinner size dish. These are the ones that I told you that are going to be most scratched up because they were used the most. We have a luncheon size dish. This is going to be 10.5 inches, and the luncheon is going to be 9 inches. And then we have what they consider to be a salad size, and it is going to be 7.5 inches. And then we're coming back here to the dessert size, and it is 6 inches. I think what they call that is sherbet, but I'm not sure why, unless sherbet is just another word for dessert. I don't know. Again, I am not an expert. So here are the 4 sizes that I have in my collection. And I always think it's kind of funny that you can really tell the difference in a serving size from the 1930s to today's time, because this is what they consider a cereal bowl. And this is what they consider a berry bowl. Now, the berry bowl, I get. I mean, that's perfect size for some berries. But my Special K is going to flow right out of that. I'm sorry. I got to have a little. I could use that for a cereal bowl. But I just think it's interesting that the serving sizes are so very different. Same here for the dessert size. I mean, my dessert's never going to fit in that. So that, I believe, is everything with the exception of these. Now, these are prized possessions to me as well. These are my tumblers. They also have these that are footed, and I have not been able to find the footed, or honestly, I don't think I need the footed ones. I think I have a great collection. I have 6 of each of these, and I'm satisfied with that. I don't feel the need to get any more, as well as I don't feel the need to get the grill plates just to say I have a full collection. So this is my collection. It is beautiful. I think you'll agree. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make a beautiful tablescape with all of these treasures. So here is everything put together. I realize that this is not a proper tablescape. I realize that this is not feasible when you're serving dinner. And this is not what a typical Depression era table setting would look like. We're just playing pretend. We're just playing dress up. We're just having a good time. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I have never set a table with only my Depression glass. I've always added the vintage amber glass from the 70s in with the Depression glass that I have collected because I just love the mixture of the tones of the yellows. I like the oranger tone with the lighter yellow from the Depression era. So I've always mixed them together. I've never put them all together as one, and it's just so beautiful. It's just making me so happy right now. And I paired it with this tablecloth. I got this tablecloth from the thrift store. It's not vintage. It's actually going to be used for the wedding. I just pulled it out of that little stack there. So it worked perfectly. Typically, if I was doing a more modern everyday table setting, I would have put my white chargers underneath my Depression glass because the white chargers make the yellow pop a little more. My table's a little dark, so the dark table just kind of, you lose the color and the brightness when there's something dark behind the yellow glass. So I always put a yellow charger behind it, but since I didn't really want to use a charger today, I wanted to go in a different route. I picked this white tablecloth, and I think it worked perfectly. And I kept these chairs pulled out because I wanted you to see the scallop along the edges. It's just beautiful. And the tureen, my goodness, how perfect could that be? Now these candlesticks could quite possibly be Depression era. I don't know 100%. I tried to do a Google search for them to just confirm. It said that it is possible, but it did not tell me 100% that they were from the Depression era. But they did lean more towards the fact that they were Depression era candlesticks. So they're a little darker than my other pieces, but I think they blend well, especially with the soup tureen having the darker colors right beside it. It's just perfect. So that is all that I have for you. Let me turn this camera around so I can say my goodbyes. I had to get back into my regular clothes. I was looking at the footage from when I was decorating the table. I wanted it to be like a 1930s feel with the dress and everything, but 1930s Becky was showing just a little bit too much cleavage. I ended up having to cut out about 5 minutes. 5 minutes of footage because it was just little more R-rated than it needed to be. So I apologize for that. I was trying to give off a vibe and I gave the wrong vibe. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're always just doing the best we can around here, right? We're just hanging on by a thread. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Again, I'm sorry it wasn't a big elaborate production of fun things to do today, but I thought this was neat. I'm passionate about this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, enjoyed a little bit of one of the things that I collect and that I love so dearly and that I treasure. And hopefully I'll be able to share more collections with you in the future, and you guys will hang out and just spend the day with me. It always means so much. And until next time, I love you all, and I'll see you later. Bye.